using some isopropyl. I really struggle with this word, but essentially it's rubbing alcohol, but not the good alcohol that you drink. At the dawn of the 90s, Nintendo did something that arguably changed the gaming industry and potentially was the biggest thing that happened in the gaming industry ever. And it came in the form of a grey box. Like this. This one doesn't actually work, but that's another video. It was released in Japan on the 21st of April in 1989. Later in America, the same year, and then in the early 90s it came to Europe. At the time it was going for $89.99, which is about $200 today's money. Looking back at this console in 2024, it doesn't have that same excitement that I remember when I was a kid. Yes, the nostalgia levels are going through the roof right now, but would you actually really want to play one today, stock, in 2024? No, seriously, would you? Leave a comment below. Let us know. Well, with the powers of the internet and the things you can buy now from overseas, I'm going to take a normal DMG, like that one there, and turn it into something a little bit more special. This is the 2024 DMG. Right then, first thing we need is a donor. Perfect. This is a Gamboy DMG. It is a play it loud version. I really like this version. I think it looks super sick. The shell I'm going to keep, but boy, I need your guts. Before I do that though, this has not been tested yet, so I wanted to put some as in it and check it out. Of course, using the only game you can do to test a Game Boy is Tetris. However, it didn't quite start how I planned it to, so obviously the only thing you can do in these circumstances is take the cartridge out and well, give it a blow. Round 2. Better. Satisfied that it works and the buttons are happy, we move on. One of the main reasons I want to keep this shell is because of the number that's stamped on the back, or the sticker that's on the back. The UK models never got this. This was kind of their repair centre number or support and helpline, which I thought was quite cool, so I definitely want to keep it for that. So, let's get some screws out. When opening the shell with the DMG for the first time, the motherboards are on each side of the shell and there's a ribbon cable connecting them too. So especially if you're planning on keeping all these bits, which I'm keeping most of the bits, you want to be careful with this so you can reuse it in the future. But it simply just pulls out and then you've got the two sections. The entire front part of the DMG we're going to replace, so we only need to keep this part. So this is the only bit you actually need to remove from the original DMG shell. This is the main board that the actual cartridges go into and has all the information that reads that stuff. Cool. Now you've removed the board, you can place it very gently, be careful with your board, on the table. Most of these parts I'm not going to now use, so I'm going to stash them away somewhere for future parts and replacements. But this board needs a clean. Using some isopropyl. I really struggle with this word, but essentially it's rubbing alcohol, but not the good alcohol that you drink, just like the cleaning alcohol. Just using a Q-tip, or for my local friends, cotton bud. Basically, just give it a good old cleaning. This board was actually reasonably clean and didn't have any kind of dirt on it. It had quite a lot of like kind of bit of dust and kind of a little bit of grime, to be honest, but nothing crazy. So it didn't take me too long to clean it. Right then, now you've finished that, it's time to get onto some real fun stuff. A new shell. This is a, well, obviously aftermarket green shell that I picked up, Picked up some orange buttons as well, and we're going to fit it in. So if you've got this far, this bit is reasonably straightforward, because you essentially just got to do the reverse to what you just did. So I put the PCB back in the shell, in the new shell that is. It fit quite nicely, and then you do need to remember to put in a new power switch. I'm sure many people forget to do this part because it's, you know, not too obvious, and it'd be really annoying to have to then pull it all apart just to put this part in. Not gonna lie, this shell is kind of pants. It didn't feel too good the way that button worked, but we're gonna put it together anyway and see how we get on. So screws are going back in. I'm using the new screws that come with the shell. They're okay. They were soft. They're very, very soft. I don't trust them too well. Cool. Now I popped the little cover for the link cable port in. Didn't fit very well either. Bit pants. And then moved on to this. I decided to retrieve the old membranes from the old Game Boy to put in the thing, into the new one. I figured that they'd work better than the aftermarket ones. They don't. I'll explain. We'll talk about that again in a minute. But what I did do though is clean them up and get them all fresh, using some more of that isopropyl alcohol. To bring this bad boy into the 24th century, 2024 is what I'm trying to say here. We need a new display. These new displays for these DMGs come with another PCB as well for the control panel, so that one has been replaced, and these are the parts you get with it. You get a speaker as well. It's crappy. Again, we'll talk about that later. Some flex cables or ribbon cables, a little bracket for the actual display to go into the shell with, and then the actual display itself. Fits nice. I will say, to fit this display into the shell compared to some other mods that I've done in the past, it is well easy. It's a super easy one to get into place. Then, as you can see, I popped the buttons in and then those membranes. Carefully. And then the new board. This flex cable goes straight through the middle of the board and then folds up on itself to then go into the connector. It's extremely hard to get in there. Really, really, really fiddly. There's no give. There's no give. Yeah, that's the right word. So it's really tricky to do. But finally got it in there and then screwed the board down. Check the buttons to make sure they were working. Obviously, I don't know if they're 100% working, which we'll talk about later. And then screw the rest of the buttons in, the screws in. So the speaker is crappy because it's a little bit crackly and just like it's just crap. It just doesn't sound nice at all, essentially. I wonder if it's something to do with the actual connector and whether I haven't got it connected correctly or if it's just crap. So I do need to rip it apart again at some point and have a little play of that, potentially solder in a better speaker or even the original speaker. Now these ribbon cables here are again really difficult to get in. I don't know if it's because I've got these silly gloves on or if it's just the fact that it's just really tricky. Whatever it might be, it took me ages, and I actually bent the hell out of this ribbon and then decided to bin it and then use the spare one that it comes with. I don't know if it comes through with a spare one for that reason, but I used the spare one. Once you've got the spare one put into the Game Boy, you can then hook it up to the other part. This was actually a little bit easier. I also smudged the display at some point, which annoyed me because I pulled the protector off. Don't ask why. And test it before you do anything else. Make sure it's working. See what I mean about that switch? It's a little bit better when it's closed, but not much. But you can also see that when I do turn it on, it doesn't really work. I'm not sure if this point, if I was shorting it out a little bit by touching it a bit weird, because see, hold it up like that, it's better, but it also doesn't work because nothing comes on the display. So I fiddled about with it a bunch, and then boom, we have a working modded Game Boy, sort of. So I finished by getting all the screws in. After a quick test, making sure everything's worked, now I've screwed it all in, we can put the batteries in. But wait, we could probably make this more modern with a USB-C kit. So you need to take these contacts out for the USB-C board to fit in, and the battery itself. And it's probably the easiest thing you can do on this Game Boy. Game Boy Colors have them as well, and the Pockets. I think even the Advance has this now. They're really cheap. You can pick them up on AliExpress, wherever, and you literally just stick it in and then lock it down with the back case. Obviously test it. It was a little bit fiddly getting it in there because it's two different aftermarket companies making this, I imagine. But once you give it a little bit of a persuading, it goes in. You're not exactly going to take it out very often because it's got a hole on the back to put your cable in. So, perfect. Oh, one more thing. One big problem with DMG aftermarket cases, they come with these horrible plastic screens to put on them that scratch way bad. So this is a glass one. I would have quite liked it to be a different colour instead of the original DMG, but this is the one I found, and just stick it in, which was pretty satisfying. Right then, now we've done all that, it's time to test the thing. Again, Tetris is inside, and this is where we get to the point where I talk about the buttons. The start button isn't working. The original membrane is slightly fatter than an aftermarket one, essentially. So it's getting stuck. So if I give it a little bit of a wiggle and a pull with the tweezers, it then works fine. So the membrane is slightly too big for the shell, essentially. So I am going to have to pull it apart and get that in. But apart from that, it's working great. And working great, it really is. I've been playing this a bunch since I made it, and so far I have no complaints. It works really well. I love the form factor of these old DMGs, so to be able to have that bright display that I can play in the dark or anywhere I want is just wicked. And like, it's seeing some of these games in a completely new light, literally. The two things I still need to fix on this, I've actually made this quite a while ago now, quite a few months ago, and I still haven't fixed the select button and start button. Those membranes are a little bit too big, the original ones, so I need to go. I think I've probably got some of the kind of knockoff ones or aftermarket, which will probably fit absolutely fine. And then the other thing is the speaker. It's currently turned off, and you can hear it's disgusting. It's really gross. So I do want to fix the speaker as well. I'm not 100% sure if it is just the speaker itself that's doing that, or if it's the new board that's in there that's also doing that. We'll have to find out. It's probably just a connection because it's got that. It's not soldered in. So, but I'm very bad at soldering, so we'll see how it goes. But that's that. This is a very new channel for me. You may know who I am if you watch my other channel, which is Second Life Bikes. I've been building bikes and restoring retro bikes and stuff like that for a while now. This is a new project I'm doing with my friend Rob, and we have a lot of stuff coming. So if you're really into this sort of stuff, whether it be retro games or retro tech, this is the place for you. So it is the time for you to subscribe. We have Game Boy Colors, we have SPs, we have some DS's, we have some pocket mods, endless amounts of consoles that we were working on at the moment, but also talking about some retro games, all sorts of stuff. So it's a jam-packed channel, very new, So yeah, subscribe, comment below, hit that like button, all that good stuff, and we'll see you next week.